Hi everyone. Today we are discussing Capstone project on global terrorism by Pratiksha Akshay Thorat. I'm a data science enthusiasm at almabetter. In this project, we are going to discuss why I choose project on the global terrorism, what is terrorism, how do countries define terrorism, India on terrorism, brief about database, step-by-step operation on data analysis, resources used, data wrangling, data visualization, storytelling, and experimenting with the charts, understanding the relationship between variables, solution to business objective, and conclusion. Why I choose this project on global terrorism? I chose this project to examine a variety of theoretical and empirical materials needed for the analysis pressing questions related to war, security, and peace to gain a solid understanding of contemporary security challenges from the environment degradation to gender based insecurity and the ability to analyze these issues surrounding securities and terrorism. What is terrorism? Terrorism is the unlawful use of force of violence against a person or the property to intimidate or the coerce a government or its citizens to further certain political or the social objective. Law enforcement generally recognize two types of terrorism, domestic and international. The term terrorism is derived from the Latin word terror, which refers to great war. The word terrorism was first used during French Revolution in the year 1975. The term was used to refer to intentional or the planned use of brutality and the violence created or the environment of fright, panic, distress, and fear in the general public with the sole purpose of establishing a certain political or the social narrative. In today's world, terrorism is used by the different parties in different perspectives under different circumstances. The UN Security Council recognizes terrorism as a threat to peace and to security, but fails to define terrorism in any of its resolution and urges member countries to define terrorism in their respective nation law. Accordingly, different countries define terrorism and terrorists differently in their laws. US government FBI defines and classified terrorism as below: international terrorism, violent criminal act committed by the individual or the group who are inspired by or associated with the designated foreign terrorist organization or the nation state sponsored. Domestic terrorism is a violent criminal act committed by the individual and or group of further ideological goals stemming from the domestic influences such as those of a political, religious, social or environmental nature. India on terrorism. The Indian National Security Guard Act 1986 defines a terrorist as a terrorist means by a person who with the intent to avail the government as by the law established or the strike their terrorist the people or any section of this people does any act of thing using bomb, dynamites, other explosive substances or the inflammable substances or the firearms or other lethal weapons, poison or noxious gases or other substances, or firearms or other lethal weapons or toxic gases or other substances, whether biological or otherwise, of the hazardous nature, such as manner as a cause or as is like to cause death or injury to any person or property damage to or destruction of property or distribution of any supplies or services essential to the life of community. Who counts as a terrorist and what counts as a terrorism is a debate that remains unsolved. So we are discussing brief data about base data for the project. I have used a global terrorism database, that is GTD, as base data for this project, which is an open source online database and that consists of detailed information regarding terrorist attack that happened around the world since 1970 to 2017. The GTD is maintained by the National Construction Consortium TM for the study of terrorism and responses to terrorism. A development of Homeland Security, DHS Science and Technology, S&T Center of Excellence. The data provides insight about date, event, number of casualties, target and location, type of attacks, group claimed responsibility, and the weapons used. User of this data include Department of Homeland Security, State Fusion Center, Department of Defense, Intelligence Committee Agency, Federa, State and Local, Department of State, researchers and the student. So here we approaches to the data analysis, importing the success necessary libraries in the Python, mounting Google Drive, and creating the file path, importing data set from the drive, printing the information about the data frame, including the index, dtype, and columns, non-null values, and the memory uses. Using Pandas library, we did statistically analysis of the data, whereas for the visualization, we used a matplotlib and the seaborn. We used the resources. First is Python. I used a Python as a programming languages for the analysis of this data, as it one of the most particular language for the machine learning and the artificial intelligence. It's well known for the great flexibility it offers. The second one is Google Colab. I used a Google Collaborative, popularly known as a Google Colab, for writing and executing of Python codes, because its inherent benefits like a zero configuration, free access to GPU, and ease of sharing. Third one is Pandas. I used a Pandas open source data because it's a open source data manipulation and the analysis tool for the statistical analysis of the data. Pandas is well known for the being a fast, flexible, powerful, and ease of use. The fourth one is Matplotlib, was used in the project for the creating static interactive visualization in the Python. So here we start data wrangling. Since it contains 135 columns, they have huge proportion of data set, and the learning them doesn't make any sense. So we will remain the columns name for the better understanding, and then we will only extract necessary columns. Data information info is a range index is 181691. Entries are 0 to 181690. Columns are 135, and entries evented to replace D type. Float 64 into the bracket 55, int 64 into 22. Objects are 58. Memory, it uses memory 187.1 plus MB. Data frame shape is row 181691, and columns are 135. Null values in the data frame: event 0, year 0, month 0, day 0, approximate dates 172452, integer log 0, integer IDO 0, integer MI SC 0, integer any 0, related are 156653, length is 135, dtype integer is 64. Data frame describe the data consists of the terrorist activities ranging from the year 1970 to 2017. Maximum number of people killed in an event were the 1570. Maximum number of people wounded in an event were the 8191. Maximum number of total casualties in an event were the 9574. So this is the distribution of data on each series in the data frame. We can see here the first one specifies entity, the second one year, the third one month, the fourth one day, fifth one extended, just like that. So data visualization, storytelling, and experimenting with the charts understand the relationship between the variables. In the first chart, we are solving which country's economy is the least affected by terrorism. We got this graph. The bar graph we chose this graph because the bar graph provides a very easy perception, humans have a better understanding with the length differences than areas or angles. Hence, as we wanted to compare the attacks in different countries, we chose bar graph. Horizontal bar was chosen to uncompounded more countries in the screen area. So, uh, here are the insight found from the charts. Sorry. Here are the insights found from the chart. The chart clearly shows those countries which are least affected by terrorism. We inferred that the common denominator between the countries like North Korea, Antigua, Barbuda, Vatican City was the fact that these countries do not have very significant regions diversities, which may lead to dissent. A strong central governing power also contributes to better law and order. So, we gained insight helps creating a positive business impact is and our and yes, the gained insight can help other nations like raw NII in India to better fortify their boundaries and manage in international affairs better. Unfortunately, this insight can also infer that a religious extreme is the leading cause of terrorism. So here in this chart, we are finding out number of terrorist attack each year increasing or decreasing. We chose this graph because bar graph provide a very easy perception. Humans have the better understanding with the length differences than the area angles. Hence, as we wanted to compare the attacks different countries, we chose bar graph. Horizontal bar was uh, okay. Then we found out in this chart that as we can see from the graph 1970 terrorist attacks got started, it got similar till 1974. Then from 1975 attack starts to increase to 1992. Then we see a sudden drop in attack which shows our stronger defense. Then from 2005 it start increasing till 2012. 2012, then we can see from 2014 it got decreasing. uh, so here we find out the identify pattern can help world peacekeeping agencies to focus on the defense system and investigation system to decrease prevent this terrorist attack. The graph results shown that the terrorist attack increasing day by day. World should keep eye on them and increase the defense system. Here we also see that the from 2014 we got less attacks. So I think that our defense system is very good. So next we are finding each and every life is very important rather than this mental torture is also a really big crime. Government should raise helping hand to the family of dead peoples and wounded people for that calculate a total death and wounded number of suffered peoples. So I picked this chart. I coded two graphs in one code to compare total number of death and the total number of wounded people. In here, in 2007, the terrorist attack make a really hazardous attack. The total number of deaths are at its peak. We get more than 12,000 plus death rate, and in 2001 we get 20,000 plus wounded people, which make an permanent emotional and mental fear to a common people. From this graph, we gain that terrorist attacks are increasing day by day. Government and the anti-terrorist organization should take a look on them. Here is a comparative graph, and this one is a air-wise casualties that shows that it increasing day by day. But from 2015, it got decreased. At 2017, it got really lower. Here we can the red colored graph shows the people killed in each year. Here we can see from 1970 there are very less number of killed people, and then at the 2014 there is a highest rate of killed people. and then it got decreased from we just have 2017 data. So to the 2017 it's not got zero, but it got lowered from the 2014 data. And the same as the wounded, same as with the wounded peoples. The next, here we are find out the most terrorist defense regions, so we can declare it red zone, so people avoid to visit those regions, and we can also inform the region government to improve their defense system. So we chose this we chose area type of plot to show a region wise attack to simplify the result and the find area zone region of terrorist attack. Actually the area zone wala area zone is this one, and this one is total number of attack in region 1970 to 2070. So here we find out top 10 red zone terrorist attack regions are as follows. South Asia is the um Middle East and North Africa is the most affected area, which got 50,000 plus attack in their area. Then South Asia is really near to them. South Asia have uh, 45,000 number of attacks in there. And the third one is Sub-Saharan Africa, Western Europe, then Southeast Asia, then Central America and Caribbean, then Eastern Europe and North America, East Asia and Central Asia. Among them, Middle East and North Africa and South Asia are the most attacked region. Middle East and North Africa have 50,474 attacks with the 13,000 no 137642 people died, and 214308 number of people got wounded. So here we find out that the 10 terrorist attack the countries with the most hazardous and ultra red zone area, which are the Middle East and North Africa, and South Asia is just really near to their number, which have the possibility. These two regions have the most possibility to get attacked in future also. Here we can see the region wise attacks. The brown color is Middle East and North Africa, which is at its peak, and as follows that the this olive green is South Asia, which is also really hazardous. Then other countries have the other regions have the similar attacks type. Then here we conclude and suggest that um, from 2010, the terrorist attacks in Middle East and North Africa got drastically increasing due to the democracy and the civil conflicts are the main drives of the main terrorist. Government of Middle East and North Africa should take action on these, and regional countries should avoid tourists to visit these 10 regions, especially Middle East and North Africa, and also South Asia. And here we show the death rate in the each region, which is no surprise that the Middle East and North Africa is highest, and also wounded people are highest in the Middle East and North Africa. So we are moving to next slide. So here, just like region countries also should avoid tourists to make safety of people and improve their defense. So increase defense a particular country, we should calculate top 10 terrorist affected countries. Just like region, we also calculated the countries, red zone countries, which got the highest number of attacks. So, comparative charts are really easy to understand for the human being. That's why I chose this the pie type of bar. Here we can see Iraq is the most affected country among all of here. Iraq got the blue color. Iraq is most affected country. It has 2463 six attacks. Then as follows that in this orange color Pakistan, and in green color the Afghanistan, and as follow and India is in a red color. We can see attack types and the other countries like Colombia, Philippines, Peru, El Salvador, United Kingdom, and Turkey. So we concluded that there are Iraq, Pakistan, Afghanistan, India, Colombia, Philippines, Peru, El Salvador, United Kingdom, and Turkey is the most red zoned and most attacked countries. So these countries government should increase their defense system and keep an eye on the attacks of planning or the attacks of the terrorists. So here are we at the chart number 6. Frequent terrorist activities may bring instability to a country's economy, ignoring other factors. Which country's economy is least affected by terrorism? So here we are finding out the least affected country, which that means that the country which have the lowest number of terrorist attack. So we can say that the safest country. uh, Bar graph provides a very easy perception. Humans have a better understanding with length difference than the area angles. Hence, we wanted to compare the attacks different countries. We chose a bar graph. Horizontal bar was chosen to accommodate more countries in the screen area. So here we can see the chart clearly shows that those countries which are the least affected by terrorism, we inferred that the common denominator between the countries like North Korea, Antigua and Barbuda, Vatican City was the fact that these countries do not have very significant religious diversities which may lead to dissent. A strong central governing power also contributes to better law and order. So here are the insight that lead a negative growth or justify specific reason. Yes, the gained insight can help other nations like raw NII and in India to better fortify their boundaries and manage internal affairs better. Unfortunately, this insight can also infer that religious extremism is the leading cause of the terrorism. So here we are at the chart 7. Disturbance in different regions are caused by different general local terrorist organization analyze. The main terrorist group operating worldwide, the main terrorist group operating in the country of the most terrorist attack. So we chose a bar graph to show competitive study between terror attacks, count of the top 10 globally and the top 5 terror out outfits in the country. The length of the bars gives a relative idea about the count and the difference between various terror groups. What here, as we can see from both graphs, majority of the terrorist attacks are conducted by unknown groups worldwide and in the most affected nation. So. Insight that the lead to negative growth, just we are justifying that yes, the identified pattern can help world peak keeping agencies to focus on the identifying and keeping a watch on these unknown groups. Curbing the advances of these unknown terror outfits can strengthen the national security. So we can see here that the unknown groups are that attacks done by a unknown group is really high. That means we don't know our enemies. We should really find out those groups and stop them from the attacking. In chart number 8, we are analyzing the birth and the growth of Boko Harams in Nigeria, who are their primary targets. So, as we wanted to show the trends for the different time periods, we chose the line graph. It clearly depicts the rise and the fall of the attacks done by the Boko Harams. The graph clearly shows that Boko Harams, who were small resilient force from the 2002 to 2009. Here we can see this as a terror group of Nigeria between the years 2010 and 2012. In 2009, Boko Harams were subjected to excessive use of force by police, which triggered a backlashes in the form of bombing and killing. This also questions the planning, productiveness, and the policies of then present government to resolve conflict by the maneuver dialogues. And we can see the 2013, here is a drop and then increase of the terrorist attacks. So here the president of Nigeria was changed, and he just decreased the rate of attacks, and then it got increases. So in this graph highlights 2012 and 2014 as the peak of attacks of years by Boko Haram. In 2015, President Buhari made meaningful efforts in the curbing Boko Haram in Nigeria. The efforts made by the president can be studied and replicated to ensure a positive change in the safety of Nigerians and other countries facing civil unrest worldwide. So, next one is chart number 9. Here we compare the success of Odisha and Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh government to reduce Naxalism in their regions. So we chose this graph. We wanted to show a comparison of the trends in the most activities in the states of Odisha, Jharkhand, and the Chhattisgarh. Line graphs are a good choice to study trends, changes in patterns. Uh, So we find out the insight. While states like Odisha have the successful handled the menace of the Naxalism, systematically wiping it out almost completely in the 2013, we see a significant rise in its neighboring states in the same year. We infer that the political unrest in the Jharkhand in 2013 may have been a triggered point. So the various government efforts like education, monetary grants, benefits on the surrender can be the further facilitated to decrease nationalism in these states. In chart number 10, we are studying terrorist attacks are often well planned and strategically carried out. Operation analyze the success rates of some major terror outfits, which organization have the highest success rate. So for that, we wanted to show a comparative study between the success rate of 100 terrorist organization worldwide. To picturize their values in the more understandable form, we chose a bar graph. The chart showcase 100% accuracy for the majority of the terror group chosen. It shows how accurately and strategically these attacks are planned. We gained insight help creating positive business impact. That are there any insight that the lead to negative growth? We are just justifying it. National security agencies can use this data to examine the reason for the high success rate and also for the low success rates of few groups. The difference in their operating strategy can understood to study patterns and foil more attacks in future. So in chart number 11, we are studying the way a terrorist attack is carried out differs from the organization to organization. Compare the various attack patterns and their frequency. So here we wanted to show a contribution of each weapons in the overall weapons used. Hence, to show the distribution out of total, we used a pie chart. Actually, it's a, bar graph chart. The chart, despite how out of all the weapons used, almost 50% of attacks are done using explosives. Explosives, firearms are also a major weapons used by terrorists. Here we gained inside help creating positive business impact. And are there any insight lead to negative growth? We are justifying. Yes, this analysis can be used by security agencies to improve strict ban and increase vigilance on the movement on the particular substances, especially the raw material used to build explosives. In chart number 12, we are studying although terrorism has no religion, but terrorist organizations have the specific targets. Who are the most vulnerable targets? Civilians, military, or the politicians. So here we are showing to show a distribution of social groups out of total charge casualties targets. We chose a pie chart. So here the primary targets of terrorists are civilians and private property, amounting the approximately 25%. Military, police and government officials are almost at the equal risk. So here the insight can be used to improve security in public places. The distribution clearly shows that since the terrorist attacks have no personal disputes with the civilians, the purpose is primarily to create a fear. So in chart number 13, we are studying make a closer look at the trends before and after the war on terror. So to understand the trend before and after war on terror, we chose these graphs. From the first floor, it is very noticeable that the terrorist landscape before and after war on terror is vastly different. Before 2001, the regions were much closer together in terms of activities. Eventually, all dropped to a minimum in 2002. After 2001, the Middle East and the South Asia have detected the rise in the terrorism number with the significant increase in sub-Sahara Africa as well. Here we can suggest that from the first plot, it is very so we can suggest that the Australians and ocean areas are we can see here the difference. So in next chart, we are studying correlation heat map. Analyze the data correlation between the various attributes from the global terrorism. We chose correlation heat map can be used to find potential relationship between the variables and understand the extent of this relationship. In addition, correlation plots can be used to identify outliers and to detect linear and the non-linear relationship. Here we infer that the dead and wounded have the correlation of 0.53. Also, the success rate of attack is not correlated with the with either month and longitude of the attack at all. So in chart number 15, terrorism, we study terrorism have no empathy with the people. They attack and kill people. We are finding out there any attack pattern which terrorist attack happens the most. So we chose the seaborne pair plot allow us to plot pairwise relationship between variable with a data set. This creates a nice visualization and help us to understand the data by summarizing a large amount of data is a single figure. So we found out that the most attacks were conducted around weekends, that is Monday and Friday. So the security agencies could look into the movement of people and goods move vigilantly on weekends. So in chart number 16, we studied to decrease or to stop terrorist attack, which weapons and the raw materials should be banned or restrict. So here we Here we chose bar graph to finding out the highest and the lowest used weapons, uh, weapons used by the terrorists. Since from the chart we can clearly say that the bombing explosive methods are very was mostly used. So we can say that. So we can say that bombing and explosive should be banned, and the raw material also should be banned to decrease the rate of attacks and the safe cities and safe world. So solution to business objectives are: the Middle East and North African regions are the most targeted, so the government of that region should increase their defense and investigation departments, and also should ban bombing explosion raw material. Iraq country is the most targeted, so the government of that country should increase their defense and investigation departments, and also should ban bombing and explosive raw materials. Here we can make people aware of terrorism, so they can save themselves from these unknown attacks. Anti-terrorism organization and defense department should keep an eye on Taliban and ISIL, which are the most active organization. World should take a strong law act and action against terrorism. The conclusion of this project is attacks has increasing, but the number of people killed ma- many times has attack happened. Iraq has the most attacks. The Middle East and the North African regions has the most targeted. Maximum number of attacks are from the bombing and explosives. There are maximum number of attacks in private citizens and properties. Taliban and ISIL has the most active organization. It is evident from the trend analysis that since 1971 there has been a significant increase in terror attack globally. Terrorist groups like ISIL, Taliban, Al Shabaab, Boko Haram's NPA, assassination, etc. However, in recent times there has been a side decreasing in terrorist attack. We need to understand that every human life is precious, and we should take all efforts to curb terrorism and sponsor of terrorism. Development of both the socio and economic education are the only permanent solution on this problem. We should make common people aware about the terrorism. So here we completed the project. Thank you.